Okay, next step. Now that we have the cheeks and our blunt shapes, let's talk about applying the rest of the joint structure so that we can actually move our mesh from the head, from neck up, and add a way to move our lower jaw as well. So what we will do is, first we have our blunt shapes. Let's hide these. Let's take our blunt shapes and let's group it to a separate group on its own, just for, just so it looks a bit cleaner on the outliner. Oh, if you also remember, our eye controller is moved to the control group because that will come in handy later. So right now, what I'm going to do is, let's apply joints first. So, okay, we only need AB Syn Mesh now. So, in order to apply joints, you want to do this on the side view. So, you go to Rigging, make sure that you're on Rigging, and here's the Skeleton Create Joint tool. What I will do is, let's scale this all down to like 0.2 or something. So, 0.2 is too small. Let's say, okay, we can probably do, is one good? Yeah, okay, this looks, I prefer a little bit smaller. Let's do 0.7. Okay, you want to do this from the side view because, okay, and you want to make sure that your x-ray joints are on so you can actually see where you place it on the head. So, order is neck. Let's do neck, middle of neck, base of head, top of head. That's going to be our basic structure. And it's helpful to relabel them. So let's do base neck, mid neck, base head, head top. And then as for we need to make the jaw joint. So I'm going to make a joint from approximately the cheek area to the chin. So let's call this jaw, and let's call this chin. And then I'm going to take jaw, and I'm going to click on base head, and I'm going to parent it. Now that I have the whole mesh, let's color code it. So I have the whole joint selected. Let's go to our layer joint that we've made, add selected objects. Now our joints will be pink. Okay, next step. Let's make sure that we actually have proper controls. So let's go to, and this might be, let's make sure that everything is good in the center view. Shading, X-ray joints, well, looks good to me. Now let's apply NURBS curves. Create, circle. Okay, and now I will show you one reason why the layer tool will come in handy. As I mentioned, the mesh layer is on a layer, the controls are on its own layer, and the joints are on its layer. Well, okay, not yet. Let's correct that. So I'm going to click on the mesh layer. I'm going to go to mesh layer mesh. I'm going to add selected object. So now if I were to, now I can actually toggle and hide the head. I mean, this is helpful because now I want to move the controller. If I want to move it directly on top of a joint, I want to use snapping. To enable snapping, you hold the V key. So now I can move this NURBS curve to a joint. Okay, so now I'm going to rotate it, manipulate it, and now let's okay, this looks about good. Let's do it for the rest. Let's do it for the other needed parts of his head. So
why we need this?
The reason why you need this is eventually the reason you don't want controllers is that you want to have external controllers so that if you move your neck around and you want to reset your neck to 0.
Oh, that's fine.
Because right now, as you can see, not all values are by default 0, but if you use a controller, you can freeze transformation. So if you want everything to go back to default, you just have to 0 out your controller. Oh, also it's also easy. It's also easier to click when you're animating. So, yeah, for animators, yeah, you want to have this. So in case someone else is using your animation. Okay. So what you need to do is go here. So freeze transformation. Okay, let's make sure the joint looks good from the side view. I think this looks about good. Okay, let's duplicate the mesh. I'm going to hide the head again. I'm going to use snapping tool. I am going to shrink this. About good. Now let's do one for the base of his head. So same thing, hide mesh, toggle here, and let's make it as big as to circle the rest of his head. That's good. Let's shrink this a little bit. Actually, we don't want. Let's not place a controller for the base joint, because if we want to animate, let's animate from the mid-neck joint up, because if you move the entire base as well, you'll end up having his entire head floating and turning, which would look pretty bad. So let's only apply a mid-neck controller and mid-head controller, and then last controller we need is a jaw controller. So to do a jaw controller, what I will do personally is, okay, so first let's rotate this to here then. Let's make a jaw controller, and what I will do personally is I will make some sort of fancy oval shape pattern. I'll do it around his mouth like here. So what I will do is I'll go to control vertices so I can let's do something like, man, this is one weakness on 14p monitors. The controls are so tiny. Okay, let's do like some. Let's. Okay, let's take these vertices. Let's. It's difficult to do just because my monitor resolution is making them very hard to click. Let's do it like this, and let's use this. And then what I will do is, you know, this is exactly why the symmetry tool exists. There. Let's move this up ahead. Let's move it. And then for the final one, let's actually curve it like here. Okay. Okay, that looks okay. Okay, it looks good, but okay, but now we want to make this jaw pivot we want to make this controller pivot we want to make it pivot with the controller. So what you need to do is, not only you need to hit the snapping tool with V, but you also need to hold the D key so you can modify the pivot of the controller. I'll move it to the jaw joint. It's not perfectly over. I'll move it here. And now, if I move the jaw, you can see it actually moving along, pivoting along. That's nice. Okay, so now these three are the only controls that you'll need. For the most basic head rig, these are all you need for Lab 2. So let's apply these so they're color coded. Let's freeze them. And now, here's what we need to do. Before we apply constraints, we need to make sure that the controllers are in a proper hierarchy, because right now, if I want to move the base controller, it needs to move all the upper controllers with it too. So what I'll do is I'll go to the let's make sure that the outliner is visible. Okay, so let's label them all. Let's call this neck con. Let's call this head con, and let's call this jaw con. So jaw parents to head, head parents to neck. Oh, and if you want, you can parent your eye to the neck as head as well. So what this will do is, now if I move the head controller, it moves all the other controls with it too. That's good. Now that the hierarchy is in place, all we need to do is apply constraints. So go to neck controller. Okay, this time we want to, let's go to here. Let's go to constraint. Let's go to parent constraint, maintain offset, apply. And then for all the other joints, we can shortcut. We don't have to. We can just hit the G key to just do the same thing that we just did over. So I'll hit the jaw controller, hit the jaw joint, hit G, and now if we move the entire structure, it should move everything. Good. Lovely. I like this. And also this jaw joint. Oh, and then we, okay, as you can see, we have these eyes. Let's save us the trouble right now. Let's save us the trouble now of having to bind, because these are all separate mesh, we aren't going to bind them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, okay, so upper teeth will stay with the head, with the upper teeth will stay with the, whoa, what happened? Okay, so, huh. Oh, these must have locked values of some weird kind, because that normally shouldn't happen. Okay, upper teeth, head joint, parent, lower teeth, parents with jaw, because your lower teeth opens and close. This is good.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a tongue.
Tongue also fine.
And let's not care. Let's not do the tongue for now. Let's not worry about the tongue. I'll leave the tongue as
Jaw.
I'll leave the. Let's not worry about the tongue then. If I'd say, since this is technically your own assignment and I can't tell you how to do everything, I'll tell you. If you want, I'll leave it up to you if you want to include the tongue or not. I won't require, the tongue is usually not required for lab 2, but it's nice if you do it. And then for the upper eyes, we take the eyes. Okay, actually they're eye groups, because we want to make sure that the groups are selected. Take the eye groups, parent it with the head joint. So now, if we move the head joint, the eye should move along with the head. And okay, you got these thingies. I don't even know what they are, but let's make sure that it's parented with the base head as well. So now, good. Now our eyes and joint structure are all completely functional. And we can even move the eyes as well, and nothing will break. Okay, this is beautiful. Let's reveal the mesh again. Okay, so